Thank you, Cearlach, and welcome, Minister. It's good to see you here. It's lovely to be in this chamber for the first time, and thank you to Fianna Fáil for proposing the motion. Breaking the law, bending the truth, acting in bad faith, these are not words that any modern democracy should want to be associated with, and yet here we are debating the actions of the UK government doing just that. The withdrawal agreement was signed less than a year ago. Implementation of the provisions of the bill would turn lawmakers into lawbreakers. It will damage the UK's reputation and credibility internationally and bring potential legal action in the European Court of Justice, and potential trading partners and signatories of future agreements may view negotiations under a cloud of suspicion. But these are the UK's concerns, not ours, and they are cold comfort to us right now. We, who could be staring down the barrel of a no-deal Brexit or a return to a hard border in a matter of months. For Northerners who fear the end of the status quo of a living agreement based on compromise, consent and choice, with reconciliation as both its work and its prize, to be replaced by fears of the past, what-ifs, and it doesn't bear thinking about. For border counties and businesses whose livelihoods depend on the prosperity that comes from peace and all-island economic opportunities. Instead, after 4 years of uncertainty, there is more anxiety, there are more questions, and unfortunately, more ignorance about the fragility of reconciliation on the island of Ireland. I welcome the joint televised address last night with First Minister Arlene Foster and Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill about the alarming spread of coronavirus in the community. Working together against COVID-19 is imperative right now, especially when the two leaders didn't share the same platform for 3 months. Anyone who is a stakeholder of the Good Friday Agreement must put reconciliation first. When identity politics is played locally or unilaterally, everyone loses. This is well rehearsed, but it's worth saying again until the penny drops. The Good Friday Agreement is the textbook and the framework for building relationships on these islands after decades of division across communities in the north, north-south and east-west. Brexit utterly undermines these relationships, but we cannot allow it to undermine the principles of the agreement itself. Boris Johnson and Brandon Lewis claim the Internal Market Bill protects all the communities of Northern Ireland, but where did this latest intervention come from? The businesses of the North sought clarity from the Joint Committee and through the Northern Ireland Affairs Committee, not a collision course with the Northern Ireland Protocol. All political parties accepted the withdrawal agreement, even the First Minister, despite singular voices in her party that did not. There were no protests by communities or civic groups. We can only speculate if it is buyer's remorse, a trade deal negotiation stunt, an escape route into a hard deal Brexit, or internal Tory politics that is driving this irresponsible agenda. But I think we can safely say it is a world apart for a community who never wanted Brexit in the first place. It is not for their benefit, and it is not for the benefit of the peace process. Instead, the Internal Markets Bill has reopened old wounds and old words, brought back exhausted rhetoric and polarised reasoning. Once again, it has pulled communities apart in Westminster and Stormont, East and West, Green and Orange. It sets us back when we should be looking forward. It also seems to threaten the cornerstone of Good Friday Agreement institutions, power sharing. Section 46 of the Internal Market Bill would provide a mechanism for the UK government to promote economic development and provide infrastructure such as transport, roads, schools, health and housing according to their own agenda and not the agenda of local communities. And this is very unsettling. Whether it was Sunningdale or it was the Good Friday Agreement, power sharing is an essential part of reconciliation and building a shared future. Communities work together for communities, solving problems, creating opportunities, building the future, showing that democracy works. And after 3 years of unnecessary deadlock and political impasse, it is vital that these powers are protected. It is hard to come to the conclusion that this British government has anything other than a poor regard for commitments to the North, undermining the Good Friday Agreement, overriding the Withdrawal Agreement, reneging on the Stormont House Agreement. But we must continue to work for a trade deal, work for all communities, and continually commit ourselves to reconciliation. As parliamentarians, it is essential that the institutions of the Good Friday Agreement, in building relationships north and south, east and west, are prioritised and resumed. As parliamentarians, we should build awareness by building relationships with our UK and northern counterparts. I urge this House to advocate for those institutions and that crucial interaction. Our government stands in stark contrast to the UK in its preparation with the business community. The Brexit Readiness Action Plan that Minister Coveney spoke about helps businesses prepare to reduce the impact of Brexit, and we must continue to plan for every outcome. Now is not the time to goad unionists or Conservatives about border polls. Only those who seek to harden positions on all sides would take such a stand. An imminent border poll would be a misstep for anyone committed to true and lasting unification and reconciliation on the island. Yes, when identity politics is played locally or unilaterally, everyone loses. Breaking the law, bending the truth, acting in bad faith, these are not the actions of a democratic government. Instead, peace, stability, friendship, partnership, joint interests, certainty for our communities and for businesses, these are the words and the actions of a responsible government committed to its obligations under law and its responsibility to all of its people.